What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Today, we have planned to talk about Juventus are looking at cheaper options to solve some of the problems they have in the roster setup for the next season, as well as could Jorginho solve the issue with the Rabiot debacle, if you will. And then we'll follow that up by, could you see a new president coming into Juventus? We'll see. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the bianconerizonechannel. My name is Justin Sofro. Today it's Tuesday, April 19th, 2022, and of course I've got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day to try to get you in as quickly as possible, in and out as quickly as possible. Before we do that though, let's go ahead and smash that like button. It really does, I can't emphasize this enough, it helps our channel to continue to grow so we can bring you more content. It's free. Hit that like button right now. I ask you, please do that. Then hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, as well as hit the bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Let's jump into it. What do we have for you in the news today? And the very first one we have up here is talking about the name that we talked about, a day or two ago? That is Benoit Badiashile. Right? Badiashile? We'll see. You know how I am when it comes to actually pronunciating things correctly. I struggle, right, when it comes to that. So anyway, let's just dive into it. Very first news is Corriere dello Sport, who's reporting that Juventus are back in the hunt for Benoit Badiashile. Badiashile? Maybe it's Badiashile. Anyway, whatever. After their strong into last summer, they resumed contact to try to bring and make a move to bring him in. Cherubini has already met with the agent to discuss the technical aspects of a possible contract. Obviously, this would be a really good get. Juventus were interested in him last summer, and now it looks like Juventus are ready to try to go all the way in for this player. He's kind of one that's popped up here recently, and it seems like some steam is really starting to grow there. I think if Juventus could land him, that'd be a solid option, definitely, especially when you're looking at some of the other options are going for kind of more expensive right now. So I think he would be a really good option for Juventus to pursue. Let's continue on, though, with another cheaper option that Juventus are looking for, and that's Mirko Di Natale, who's reporting that Orkun Koku, and I'm sure I butchered that. I'm absolutely certain I butchered that, but with the pronunciation, the different symbols, I'm not as good at it. So I apologize. No offense to anybody, but I struggle, right? Anyway, Koku has been added to the list of names to strengthen the midfield no less than a month ago. Juve scouts have seen him and have inquired with his father, Halis Sibo, who takes care of the interest of the player. Feyenoord value him at around 15 million euros. The first approach has been made. Although to date no negotiations have taken place, it's only April and there's still a season to go. But Juve remain very vigilant over European talent. Now this is one that I'm not as high on. And when I say that is, a lot of the reason for it is, yeah, he's a cheap option, but if we're being real, if you're going to go for a cheap option, why not go after somebody? Why don't you just utilize the cheap options you have? I don't think anything about this player, from what I've seen from him, really sticks out, puts himself head and shoulders above the likes of utilizing somebody like Meretti, using Fajoli, any of those guys. I'd say focus on that. Focus on your talent, the Italian talent that you have with Meretti, Fajoli, whatever, before you even consider spending 15 million euros to go after this guy right here. That's my personal opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below if you disagree. All right, next one up we have is Jorginho, and talk about more midfielders. Jorginho, the option sports media set is reporting saying that Juventus liked the experience of Jorginho and would be ready to make an attempt, but no more than 10 million euros will be offered for the player, and possible quid pro quos, such as Rabiot, will be evaluated. Watch out for competition from Lazio, as Maurizio Sarri, of course, would like the Italian-Brazilian midfielder back with him. Of course, if you've been living under a rock, if you didn't know that he played for Napoli under Sarri and was really successful under him. So I could definitely see him being interested in going to Lazio and potentially being a player that plays for Maurizio Sarri and maybe regrouping with him. The only issue is, though, Lazio right now doesn't appear to be making, unless Juventus and all the other teams have another fallout, which is possible. But unless there's another fallout from those teams, it doesn't seem like Lazio are going to be the ones participating in the Champions League next season. I'd imagine that would be something that would maybe put Juventus a little over the top for that as well. We'll see what happens. But right now, I'd be interested to see how that goes out, especially if you can go in, and this would solve a lot of problems. If for some reason, Chelsea would be interested in bringing in Rabiot, and then they would take Rabiot, in some kind of deal that would be done to get Jorginho at Juventus, it would solve, you kill two birds with one stone. It'd be fantastic. I don't know how optimistic I am about the chances of that happening, but that's where we stand with it right now. And again, 10 million euros seems kind of cheap, but obviously with his age and also with current contract situation, Juventus are going to do the smart thing when it comes to paying for him. So we'll see what happens with him, and if he'd be an option that would come to Juventus. Again, I would be very, very high in the possibility of that happening and solving the issue of Rabiot as well, because no offense, I know he's had a couple okay games here recently, but he needs to go. All right. Next one up, we're going to talk about Rudiger and his situation. Obviously, we're talking about different center back options that Juventus could get. We'll talk about cheaper options. But Corriere dello Sport, and this is not a cheaper option, Corriere dello Sport reports that Rudiger's demands are still way too high for Juventus, who would drop the 1993-born German to look elsewhere if an agreement is not reached soon. So basically, Juve are not being very patient when it comes to Rudiger. If he wants to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. But at the same time, you have to be realistic if you're Rudiger and try to ask for the amount of money that he's asking. Over 10, maybe 12 million euros per season, as well as another 20 million euro signing bonus. It's absolutely absurd. To me, I don't feel like you should be paying more for him than you are for De Ligt. And I think De Ligt deserves a better contract than a player of even Rudiger status. All right, let's continue on. Talking about maybe potentially substitutes there for Rudiger. If you're not going to get him, who could you get if you are Juventus? And that, of course, brings back the name that I think a lot of people are pretty high on. I know I am personally. Corriere dello Sport's reporting that Juventus could basically go back to that Viola watering hole with Milinkovic, who's a Fiorentina, remains one of Juventus' targets for next season. We talked about it a lot last summer mercado, that he was an option that Juve could potentially go after back then. Now it looks like that could rear its head once again. The non-exaggerated price tag would be one more temptation for the Bianconeri. They're really affordable when it comes to listing him, and see what Juventus could get for him, or could purchase him for as well. Who for the Bianconeri, who could soon knock on the doors of the Viola and try to close the deal. So again, I'm all for this. If you can't get another option, if you can't get Rudiger, if you can't get some of the other options we talked about there as well, I would definitely go after Milinkovic. I think he's a pretty good center back. Can be a nice little stopgap for Juventus before you want to maybe pursue the next big thing down the line. All right, now let's talk about some of the bigger news, some of the bigger shocking drops following basically what happened last match. Juventus, obviously Del Piero had his homecoming. We talked about that a little bit, about it's a surprise, a shocking surprise, but a welcome one, if you will, to see him come back to Juventus, especially given the poor situation and the circumstances of his relationship with Andrea Agnelli. And we wondered what could go on with that. Is Agnelli maybe learning to mature a little bit and better his relationship with them, or is there something deeper? Well, could be something deeper. We'll see. Here we got the very first news of the day, or not first news of the day, first bit of news for this side would be Corriere della Sera, who's reporting that Juve a possible appointment of a new president in the near future. Watch out for Del Piero. We could see El Presidente Del Piero at Juventus. But, what does that mean for the future of another president that Juve currently has? Obviously, I think a lot of fans would be all for this. What better way to rectify your relationship with the club's greatest player of all time, arguably the greatest player of all time. A player that means a lot to me. Player him and Buffon together. Reason why I'm a Juventus fan, especially when he's been kind of exiled for the last 11 years or so since his departure. Finally, to see him come back to be in Allianz Stadium was fantastic, but we always wondered what was going on there with Agnelli, and did they have any kind of face-to-face meeting or, rectification of their relationship? Well, maybe not. Sports media said reporting that Juventus is preparing for a revolution. Del Piero is ready to come back. Already at the end of the last season, there were talks that John Elkann might decide to put Agnelli in his place. The relationship between the current president and Del Piero is not particularly idyllic, and should Andrea step aside, the legend could play the role of honorary president, acting as the club's ambassador with decision-making powers. It's easy to think at this point that also Nedved will be forced to step aside. We talked about recently, obviously, not recently, but like in recent months or so, about the idea of Nedved could see his time ending. So, we saw Badiashile go. Nedved could be one of the next ones. And then even Agnelli is not untouchable. The Agnelli family is still not untouchable. That John Elkann would make the move to remove him. It's a little surprising to me. I just want to take a moment and just say I don't want to be too harsh or too hasty with this. Obviously, having Del Piero back would be fantastic, but at the same time, I just wonder, because I understand things have not been idyllic when it comes to, I know I just used a word that's in the graphic there, but it's hasn't been obviously an idyllic situation currently with Juventus, with the way the management has maybe run some things. You've been getting some good purchases in the Mercado with the addition of Riva Bene and the way Carabini's been running things, but also I don't want to forget the contributions that Agnelli has had to Juventus, especially the last 10 years or so. All the successes we did see. 9 straight Scudetti, the entire, the Allianz Stadium, all that goes along with that. So I do want to respect and appreciate what he's done. But we'll see what happens if this ends up becoming a move that they make. We'll see if that'll be the better for Juventus down the line, or what will happen with that. We'll see. We'll monitor the situation as it continues to develop, and we'll report on that as it does. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for the news today. That's what we really have when it comes to all things Juventus. Let me know your thoughts. Some big-time stories, though. Obviously, talk about some of those cheaper options than Jorginho and Rabiot. What do you think about that deal potentially getting done? And, of course, what do you think about the president's situation? Do you think it'd be a good move to see Agnelli step down, or do you think he still deserves more time, given the accomplishments he's had already? And then also, what do you think about potentially seeing Del Piero become the next president of Juventus? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like that video, smash the subscribe button, as well as hit the bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. If you haven't already, make sure you follow Bianconerizone at Bianconerizone on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow me at Justin Sofro as well. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.